April 20th, 1999, a day that changed the history of school violence forever. Two heavily armed students walked into Columbine High School in Colorado, executing a massacre that left 13 innocent lives lost and a nation in shock. But why did they do it? Could it have been prevented? Today, we take a deep dive into one of the most infamous school shootings in American history, the Columbine High School Massacre. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold were not the typical outcasts that many initially believed them to be. Eric Harris, born in 1981, was described as charismatic but deeply disturbed. He ran a personal website filled with violent fantasies, homemade bomb-making guides, and hateful rants. Dylan Klebold, born in 1981 as well, was quieter, more socially awkward, but deeply depressed and suicidal. The two had been friends for years and often recorded disturbing videos, known as the basement tapes, where they discussed their hatred for society and their plan to carry out a large-scale attack. A thirst for destruction, inspired by previous violent events. A desire to leave a lasting legacy, believing their names would be remembered forever. Revenge against classmates they felt had bullied or ignored them. It was Tuesday, April 20th, 1999. Harris and Klebold arrived at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado, around 11:10 a.m. Wearing black trench coats, they carried duffel bags filled with explosives, semi-automatic weapons, and homemade bombs. Their original plan was far deadlier than what actually happened. They had placed two 20-pound propane bombs in the cafeteria, set to explode at 11:17 a.m. If successful, they could have killed hundreds of students instantly. But the bombs failed to detonate. Realizing their plan had failed, they moved to Plan B, open fire. 11:19 a.m. The first shots, fired. Harris and Klebold opened fire outside the school, killing Rachel Scott and severely wounding Richard Castaldo. Minutes later, they shot at students sitting near the west entrance, killing Daniel Rohrbaugh, Sean Graves, and Lance Kirkland. 11:24 a.m. Entering the school. They stormed inside the school, heading toward the library, where the deadliest phase of the massacre occurred. 11:29. 11:36 a.m. The library massacre. In just 7 minutes, they murdered 10 students and injured 12 others in the school library. The scene was horrific. Survivors described how the shooters taunted their victims, asking if they believed in God before pulling the trigger. 11:35 a.m. The final killings. Teacher William Dave Sanders tried to evacuate students and was shot twice. Despite his efforts, he died from blood loss. 12:08 p.m. The attack ends in suicide. After nearly an hour of terror, Harris and Klebold retreated to the library and took their own lives. In total, 13 victims were killed, 24 were injured, and the nation was left in shock. The Columbine Massacre became one of the most analyzed crimes in history. It led to massive debates about gun control, school security, and the psychological impact of bullying. Increased school security, metal detectors, active shooter drills, and surveillance became common in U.S. schools. Gun control debates. Discussions about background checks and access to firearms intensified. Psychological studies. Experts explored warning signs of violent tendencies in teenagers. Survivors, like Craig Scott, whose sister Rachel was murdered, went on to become activists against school violence. Some victims' families formed organizations to support mental health awareness and anti-bullying campaigns. There were multiple warning signs before the attack. Eric Harris's online threats and violent writings had been reported to the police a year earlier, but no action was taken. Dylan Klebold's diary entries revealed deep depression and suicidal thoughts. The basement tapes were filled with confessions of their hatred and plans for destruction. Some experts argue that early intervention could have stopped them. Others believe that a lack of awareness about teenage mental health at the time contributed to the tragedy. The Columbine High School Massacre was not just a tragedy, it was a wake-up call. Even today, schools, parents, and law enforcement agencies study this case to prevent future violence. But the question remains, have we truly learned from Columbine, or are we doomed to repeat history? If you found this documentary insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth crime case studies. Stay safe, and remember, awareness can save lives.